That's better. Hiya Hinsters, welcome back to the channel, and if you're new, welcome too. I hope you're keeping safe and well. And my name is Hinny. I'm a spiritual astrologer. You can subscribe to me or give this video a thumbs up if you like what I do. And here we are with the Scorpio season. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Right. So Mercury and the Sun are already both in Scorpio, with Mercury doing a good job of catching up to Venus. You know what? Let me just change how I am sitting. Okay. I like this more. Hi, if you're just tuning in, do leave me a comment. So yeah, Mercury and the Sun are already both in Scorpio, with Mercury doing a good job of catching up to Venus. Actually, she's in Sagittarius now. So I'm kind of cheating a bit and I usually do separate videos on Mercury's transits, but this one is going to be Mercury and also the Sun in Scorpio. So yeah, Scorpio season. This is spanning the period roughly October 23rd to November 21st. And this is the first shadow season of the shadow half of the astral year. It is a feminine or fixed water season. It is a Martian season, and what I call one of the snippy seasons, which is Cancer, Virgo, and Scorpio. By the way, if you're a Cancer rising, the new moon, which is coming up in early November in Scorpio, is actually going to be a great time to get a haircut for you Scorpio, you Cancer risings. Anyway, Scorpio season, yes, the ice sign season, the secret fire sign season. And here we have the archetypes of the spider, of the snake. Very important this particular dragon year as well. And also next year, even more special, I think, for Scorpio heavy people. And also at the end of Scorpio season, and as we go into Sagittarius season, we get the eagle and the butterfly and these kind of archetypes and spirits coming through too. And yes, also in this overarching dragon year, this is a year which I think in particular Scorpio risings will be booming one way or another, and that booming can be felt even more in this here Scorpio season. Scorpio season is like, it's very dramatic. It's like taking in a breathtaking landscape. It is a marveling at the brutality of nature, or the brutality of humanity even, or the wonder, the awe of humanity. Not necessarily in a complex or analytical way, but just more in a, kind of breathtaking way. It's kind of like a dramatic mountaintop view, or it is a still, pure lake. Perhaps that lake is ice, perhaps it's placid. We don't know sometimes. It is a season or an energy of the intense, of the reckless, and sometimes the remorseless. It's piercing and penetrating. But also Scorpio is an enigma, because conversely, it's the season also of things like cocooning and curling in, of getting like harder, like the Pokemon Metapod. If you're a Pokemon fan like me, you'll know that one, Metapod. And and kind of just making the defenses even stronger. It's like adding layers and layers more of defense, or strengthening the fortress, if you like. Hello, Nick. How are you doing? Scorpio rising. I'm just seeing your comment now. Scorpio rising, Sun, Venus, and Uranus in the 12th house. Wow. Very Scorpionic. I hope this relates especially to you, for you. But yes, Scorpio season is the enjoyment of solitude and being with our quiet thoughts. It is a quiet, humble knowing that we did the right thing, or that we did the good thing. It is also like the doors are shut now. The doors are shut here. And I've been saying this on my channel, I think every Scorpio season now, that this is when the kind of popular lady celebrity walking down the red carpet of Libra season is finally now alone with herself and her reflection and her thoughts. There's no cameras anymore. She's away from the paparazzi, and she's not a social butterfly anymore. And she's able now to more clearly or seriously consider the superficialities of some of her interactions. And it's also the season of lifting up that red carpet or a rug and kind of seeing what's really underneath. The dirt, the dust, the secrets. And Scorpio season also sometimes chimes the kind of end result of something that has been being deliberated about during Libra season. So it can be the kind of band-aid ripped off after hesitation or too much negotiation. Also, we have the Greater Samhain season beginning now, where we have in some cultures around the world this belief in the thinning of the veil between worlds, or the thinning of barriers between different entities, if you like. And it is a great time also to avoid things and protect yourself from things. For example, things that you might get drunk or helpless on. And it can be a great time for some to abstain from things like sexual acts. And in fact, Scorpio season is when lots of people do things, sometimes seen as extreme things, but they might do things like cut off all their hair or shave everything off, or grow a beard, or they might run many kilometers in the name of something that they care deeply about. They might do some kind of big charitable event or money raising thing, or they might want to sponsor a cause themselves. And this is the time and the space of the things and the people that we feel seriously and deeply about, and in a way that cannot be compelled otherwise. So if Libra season was kind of the scales, Scorpio season can kind of be like those scales have been frozen, and however they ended up in Libra season, that's how they're staying now for the rest of the astro year. Scorpio season is also, it has a wacky and weird side, of course, like all the seasons have their weird sides. And in Scorpio's case, it can be like the spiraling and the fantasy kind of really coming through strongly, things being very fully fledged, or something now is arisen, and there can be chaos, of course, and extremity in this type of fixed season, because any fixed season is about, it's an energy of you have to see something through to the very end. It's like all or nothing, or in or out. That's a fixed energy. And here this is fixed, icy, Mars-ruled water. It's that kind of energy. So this is kind of like Jean Grey. Sometimes you may hear Jean Grey being kind of related to Scorpio, or being like a Scorpionic archetype, the phoenix, and kind of energies being unleashed in some cases, or people having to, in Scorpio season, learn about the control of their energies, including sexual energies, as I mentioned earlier, like the abstinence of sexual energy can be important for some people during this time. But yes, intense feelings and obsessions. And we have this particular Scorpio season hosted by Mars in Cancer, and he's in his fall in Cancer. However, Cancer is also a water sign. So I read this as, for many, a fight between stubborn feelings and like begrudgingly taking charge of the self, even when it's hard. Let's talk anyway a bit more specifically about Mercury, who is coursing ahead, as I mentioned, coursing ahead of the Sun in Scorpio right now. And this is stuff like journeys and rides, becoming thrilling. This is like driving fast. It could be literally driving fast in a vehicle. So I'd watch out for that kind of thing as well, because we have Venus in Sagittarius as well. She's there ahead, as I've been saying for a while now. She's ahead in the planetary procession in a fire mutable sign. So there's lots of potential also to take it too far with something that's intense. But anyway, this is stuff like boy races and daredevils and roller coasters and like, thrill-seeking and thrilling things. And we have here also mind games and spite and revenge and pettiness. By the way, I'm going to be talking a lot about narcissism on my TikTok. You can follow me. I'll put it in the description later. But over there, I'm going to talk more about just little astro-spiritual tidbits, as I had been doing in Libra season on TikTok. And I'll do the same during Scorpio season. But we're going to talk more about the topic of narcissism and those types of energy. But anyway, there can, yes, be those kinds of things coming through, or we're learning more about these things. And this can be also spite, revenge, pettiness. And I've also been thinking of this idea of the two I's, but also in the sense of the letter I. And this stands respectively for intuition and insecurity, and how sometimes we confuse one for the other. And I think this is like classic Scorpio, Mars-ruled energy of like paranoia. And Mercury in Scorpio brings uncomfortable conversations and brings deep dives into topics and kind of delving more into the truth of the matter. Scorpio is a fixed or a finishing type of energy, so it will bring for many a kind of finalization of the hills that we're going to die on, or the battles that we're going to pick, and the hills that we're not going to die on. And there can also be secret conversations, like under the table deals, cheating, affairs, talking behind people's backs, but also a desperate or frustrated kind of want or need to fling all of this out the window and to kind of want to go on a social media break or digital detox. And I actually think this is why a lot of Scorpio heavy people in particular like to go hiking, for example, or they like to do extreme winter sports, or they like being in a very kind of isolated or solitary sort of country or space, especially the Scorpio rising, because I think it, to some extent, it keeps them away from too much of what they know to be like toxicities. So there's that. And I think this will bring in Scorpio season some people wanting to go on like a social media break or do a digital detox, that kind of thing. And we can do well also to do things in Scorpio season like cancel subscriptions to things. Scorpio season is a resourceful season, very resourceful season, but it's in the shadow half of the year. So this is in terms of, it's not so much about accruing new things, but starting to take care of the resources that we have already, that kind of thing. And broadly, there's this sense of holding back more and minding our business and staying out of that toxicity and the gossip, and saying as little as possible, but also remaining friendly and approachable and being proactive and resourceful. So there's this kind of, again, this contradiction in Scorpio season that we have a lot of the time. And there's like a trick to it where we have to be both of these things, like careful, but also like not too careful. Because there's also a trap. Scorpio season is very much about traps, and especially with Mercury here ahead of the sun. This is the god of traps and tricks and trip you up kind of thing. So this one particular trap in Scorpio season, which is classic, but again, really highlighted by Mercury being here, is this kind of, I don't want to trust anyone, or I don't want to trust anything, and kind of entering this energy of trust no one and die alone kind of thing. And I mentioned at the beginning that Scorpio is the spider, or spider spirit. And with Mercury here too, this is about not taking the bait of these traps, even though that bait or a person or a group or a space, even an opportunity, sometimes it can be really tempting, but there's something like dangerous about it maybe. And spider spirit calls to feel from the vibes and to like read the room properly. And spiders, they use those tiny hairs on their body to read the air currents and like to judge the best place to make their webs. And of course, they use this to sense like the vibrations of the surfaces they're on and the ground, the earth, and they can sense what trouble might be coming. So yeah, there's a lot of like kind of secret intuition to Scorpio heavy people and Scorpio season that all of us will be tapping into possibly. It's very interesting because I think we think when we, for example, think of the spider, we might just think of the eyes and the 8 eyes, but actually a spider's eyes are very weak. They don't have very good eyesight at all, and it's much more about, like I said, those hairs on the body. Anyway, another classic thing about Scorpio season, but which may be kind of more intriguingly amplified by Mercury, is digging. And this could, for example, be like the digging I mentioned earlier, which is the truth, like getting to the truth of the matter. This is like asking all the right questions, making the correct inquiries. And this is also like literally digging, like plumbing and like flushing out. And at the beginning of the very first morning of Scorpio season, I was on the bus to work and I literally saw a group of engineers and they'd like opened up a drain and were doing something with the pipes. And they had the doors of their van wide open and this TV monitor like showing what the camera was seeing as it was going through the pipes. But yes, I found that really cool. But anyway, this can be like also veins or arteries, roads, systems within our bodies. Yes, and kind of learning more about this. So maybe it can be a good time for some people to learn about like nutrition and their circulatory system, or nutrition and their blood, especially if you are a Libra rising. If you're a Libra rising, it can be very good to tap more into your diet, your eating, and nutrition. And Mercury, and again, it's this emphasis on learning about things, because Mercury is a god of learning and of systems and circuits and like the transportation of things. So we might be learning about that during this time. And I'll end then with something kind of sweetly Scorpionic, and that is that Scorpio season is, it's one of my favorite. I love all the seasons, but what I love about Scorpio season is that it has this beautiful kind of poetry to it, and it's got a lot of quiet curiosity and like a kind of cool coziness to it. And with the sun having left his fall in Libra and now being in Scorpio, he automatically gains some dignity. So I think this means for many people that many things during Scorpio season will just fall into place now and kind of sort themselves out or unravel themselves during this very interesting season, which is both private. So yes, you need to be very like patient and calm, and It's like Björk energy. It's like that song. It's also quiet. You have to be quiet, but also you have these very like powerful, bombastic kind of really culminative or intense sides to Scorpio season as well. It's kind of like classical music or a crescendo. That's Scorpio season. Very dramatic can be, and very powerful, or when emotions are very like overwhelming, it can be like that as well in Scorpio season. Yeah, so wrap up, get your spiritual seatbelt on, and also your spiritual headphones. Björk even has a song called Headphones. It's like my headphones, they saved my life. And a lot of her songs and lyrics are very deep and emotional, but that's a great song if you want to listen to that. But anyway, get your spiritual headphones on in Scorpio season and follow like the power, but also protect yourself. So yeah, have a nice weekend, and I shall see you in the next one. And I love you all very much. Take care. Bye-bye.